1993 Ford Ranger. $150 is what brought this truck home. So, let's see if we can revive it and bring it out of its grave. I've got some tools, a battery, and a jump pack. Hopefully we can get this thing running. This truck has the 2.3 liter Lima engine that has an intake, and it's cherry bombed all the way back. It's got oil. Let's see if it's got coolant. Oh, it does. Now this truck's been sitting for about 3 years, and before then, as you can tell by the moss, it sat for about 5 or so years. Look at the poor little canopy. The interior's not awful. I mean, it's just dirty. It's in fairly good shape though. It's missing that cloth trim piece. Shifter though, you know, I've driven a 4-cylinder Ranger, and I always thought it had a really tight shifter. Also, it's so that's not screwed on. I can screw that on later, I guess. This truck's got 183,000 on the clock, and yeah. I mean, the little shifter shifts, of course. Puts the clutch in. We got an aftermarket tack up there. We've got brake, some brake. Yeah, it's got pressure, and this clutch is the shortest clutch I've ever felt. Does the parking brake work? It does. Cool. But yeah. Oh, we even get a little turtle friend. Look at that. That makes the second truck I've bought now that had an animal figurine in it. Which means, just like my other truck, he gets to get glued down right there. So yeah, let me go grab my tools and let's see if we can bring this thing alive. See, so here's my truck, my 97 Chevy. And see, look, he came in it too, so I guess that turtle will have to get glued down now. Okay, so the stretch to the topper door, like, they hold pressure there, but yeah. It does have a nice canopy on it. It's fully carpeted. It appears that it's not currently wired for lights. Like, must be a nice little camping truck. But I got that guy, so. But we got the science kit full of our necessary Ford Ranger revival tools. I think we'll start off with this one and go take that battery out. Okay, oversized off-road man lift battery installed. And we have a little bit of signs of life from the cab. Just roll that down real quick. It's kind of hot in here. So, turn this on. We got nothing. Gauge don't mean anything. Blinkers, nothing. We got a right hazard, but we've got crank. I'm assuming we've got a couple myriad of blown fuses. So, yeah, we've got oil. Everything's kind of checked out for us to just try and crank it over. I don't have any starting fluid or anything to help it, but if that's right, we got some fuel. Okay. Expected. We might not have any ignition. Or most likely we don't have any fuel getting to the engine. If only I had see, can and filter. What's that filter? That's the inside of the filter. Not sure what that does. So yeah, I guess I'll just, what's this? It's like what's left of the oil cap, probably. So yeah, I'll just do a little bit more looking around it, and maybe I can get some cranking, some fire. Okay, so this is a little bit of a cheaty revival, because like I said, this truck's been sat for 3 years, close to that, and before that it sat for about 5. That time it moved, that 3 years ago, I was the driver of it. This is actually where I parked the truck, because I had the opportunity to buy this truck earlier. It was for more than $150. Didn't deem the truck worth it for the price he was asking then. $150, this truck's totally worth it. Because I finally got, I knew it would fire because it did this last time where it didn't, no start, and then it would pop. So it finally did its pop. Let's just see what happens. I'll set you guys up here. So it was running, but the moment I let off the key, it stops running. So the power ignition circuit is only active when cranking, it's seeming. Because yeah, second I let off the key, she dies. Now, it was getting happier and happier, so I could just keep trying it. But unless we've got a damaged wire somewhere in the circuit, that would do us no good. So I'll look. Okay, so I think the issue is in the key itself. Because see, look, keys in my hand. Because then if and see how it's like in there lopsided? I think this whole, sorry, let me get the phone in better. I just think this whole key, see how it doesn't go in there straight? I think if I can try and pop that little ring off. Yeah, I just think it's got a bad key switch. So I can get it to actually line up. Not like that. Like this. Yeah, see? That's like all kinds of crooked. Because then, if I just hold it back a little bit, starter's not running right now. The starter's not running either. Just gonna try and let it idle. We are building oil pressure. Last time I drove this truck, it did not like oil pressure at idle. There's also, see if I let, that falls down too. See? I think we've got a bad key switch here. So if I can just, give me the key back. There we go. Yeah, I think a bad key switch. Don't really want to do that job. Definitely not going to do it here, that's for sure. So I got to pull this whole steering wheel off to do that. At least it's not an airbag. But yeah, looks like we got a running truck. We're just going to have a weird key switch. At this point, I have a sneaking suspicion that it's also out of gas. Because now, no matter how I finagle the key, it won't start at all. So I'm just gonna go get some gas and we'll try again. Okay, So I've returned to the Ranger with 5 gallons of gas, brake clean, key blaster, and some clamps, because clamps are useful. I also have on order, they could get one by tomorrow, but not today, a new key switch. So I'm fairly certain that's our issue. I wonder where the keys are. Fifta. Because, like, see how this ring isn't actually flush? That tells me it's broken internally, and the actual lock cylinder is not in the correct positions anymore. Because you also have to, oops. See, since you have to hold it to actually get anything to turn on, I think this switch has failed. I also was told, which I already knew, but I forgot, is that this truck at one point in its life had a breathalyzer in it. And that the breathalyzer can't speak, has been removed, but their wiring job may still be present in the truck somewhere. But like I said, 3 years ago, this truck started and drove. I think currently our biggest issue is this key switch. So, also like there, I would think there should be a lock somewhere in there, like that should be ignition, and then crank would be normally there. Cause yeah, there should be like key out, accessory should be there, which it seems to be. See, steering wheel's locked. Steering wheel's unlocked. But yeah, there's no click. So I think this guy's all kinds of boogered up. $32, got one from O'Reilly's. It'll be here tomorrow instead of in a week, like if it was from Amazon, and it was actually cheaper than Amazon. So, might do a little bit more messing around with it, but for the most part, there's the title. The guy said he put it in there for me. I won't show you guys that, obviously. Pretty much going to put my gas in it, maybe try a little bit more, and when I get the key switch, I'll come back and finish, and if a key switch doesn't fix it, I guess the 305 will just have to tow it home. Okay, so 5 gallons. Whoa, forgot. Leave that in as a blooper. My Chevy's got hood springs. Forgot. This Ford is ancient. It's only 4 years older than my Chevy. So, we've got 5 gallons in the tank of fresh gas. The cheapest money can buy. Probably. But where's my jump pack yelling at me? Put the cat back on. I was worried for a second. But luckily, that's not locked. Because this ignition key is not the correct key for it. So I just want to see if we hold it. There we go. Whoa! We don't have a working fuel gauge, because there's no way 5 gallons of gas was a full tank. But it might, though, be enough to start. Quick pump. It doesn't really matter, it's fuel injected. Let's see if I can get the fuel pump to run. I'm not hearing a fuel pump. I'm seeing a battery light. And that ABS light is on. That's nice. This truck should have an electric pump in it. I am fairly positive it works. When we got the truck to run at all, it did let us rev it up. So it must run at least the slightest amount. The pump at least. But I can check if I can find the Schrader valve on the, there it is, on the fuel line, or the fuel rail. How's this work? Wait a minute. That's not one. That's the IAC valve. I'll be back. Okay, so we are, there you go. So we are getting power to the fuse block. None of these other pins have power. I haven't looked at a schematic, so I'm gonna assume that this is the only powered one. Guess I can try that by testing this other guy. Power, nothing, nothing, nothing. So yeah, the guy who's supposed to have power does. So I'm gonna jump it. This will just basically show me if the relay's bad or the pump's bad. So yeah. Okay, so now we're getting a noise that I assume is just coming from our fuel rail. And that guy. This guy is giving us nothing. So is this guy. This guy, though. Now, if I remember right, the relay did create a clicking. Let's unplug this guy so this guy's not going to interfere with our audible test. Second. Whoa. We backfired. I'm not hearing any click from that relay. Let's swap relays. And of course, the EEC is an engine controller. Don't really know what EEC stands for. You can tell I know nothing about this truck. Just showed up. Let's see if switching relays change anything. Nope. Let's plug the other guy back in and see if it is an engine controller. No, it wouldn't be, because it did still pop without this guy in. Well, anyway, let's see if there's a difference. Yep, there's a relay noise. Now to see if they're related, I'll unplug the pump relay. You know, sure that helps. I still hear relays, but it does sound quieter. They may be tied to each other. I should, when I head home, I'll print out a basic engine wiring diagram for this truck. But I think that's all we're going to be able to do today. Seems like my battery has died. And wait on parts. I might, though, for kicks and giggles, snort some sharding juice in that intake and see if it changes our outcome at all. Okay. Some juice in the intake. Yep, okay, so we have no fuel to engine. Obviously, this key switch is very questionable with how you have to hold it just the right spot to get... God, because of this key switch, I always got to make sure this truck's in neutral. There's no clutch safety, so I should just be pushing in the clutch to be sure. See, this whole key switch is messed up, so this needs replaced anyways. And it looks like we may be doing a pump, but further testing will tell me. Key switch is here. Let's work on swapping it. Okay, so to remove the lock cylinder, yes, I called it the wrong thing just a second ago. There are these screws down here that will drop this bottom plate, and then we can work on removing the cylinder. out of the column. Okay, so got the old one out. So once you remove this bottom panel, bring the right screwdriver. My Phillips head is one with interchangeable bits, so the end was too fat to reach up here. Luckily I had this tiny guy, but because of that, I won't be putting any of these covers back on because I barely got it out. I don't want to deal with stripping them on accident. And then I used, so you put your key in the run position. Some people said you have to remove this. Obviously you don't. I was just trying it because I don't have any torques with me. I took a small cotter pin, I bent it up, and there's this little hole right there that this guy can slide up into, and you just push on it and you just pull out on the lock cylinder and it comes out. You can tell there's a little bit of a coating of grease in there. I would probably put a little bit more, but I don't have any. And now the new cylinder should slide in. And bam, just like that, slid in. It's actually holding itself with crank. The battery's not in the truck. You got boom. You actually can't take the key out whenever you want. Lock. There's your, I think there should be a click for accelerator. I guess I'm not too sure on the Fords. Maybe not. And then yeah, but oops, right there. Put a little bit of grease inside the cylinder. Not grease, like a dry lube. Doesn't really like to give me my key back, but it does. And then it doesn't twist, so yeah, that's functioning. Let's stick the battery back in the truck. Alright guys, I dropped the column, and there's our issue. This box is supposed to be snapped in to these little bronze terminals, that little metal bit. See, that's what the key moves. So I'm gonna unplug it from this right here, the main harness plug. See if I can get the snap bag on top of that. Actually, it looks like if I want it to be easier, I can remove this whole unit. I may do that, but let me just do some looking. Okay, so I tied it back on and then I readjusted it, and now this is a lot firmer. We even have an accessory mode, only this truck doesn't have its accessories anymore. So, but I still don't hear a fuel pump. Nope. But that pretty much gives us that we need a fuel pump in this truck. Maybe one of those, but I'm sure that wire will hold it all together. I'll bolt the steering column back in, and we will go from there. Okay, so I'm fairly certain that we now just are down to having a bad fuel pump, because if I were to reach back here and hit the Schrader valve 4 on the fuel rail, it's right there. So I'm using the camera to see it. There's no fuel to the rail. And our relays are clicking. We now have power to the cab now that we fixed our main ignition switch. We either are not getting power to the pump or the pump died. I don't want to tear the tank. I don't want to tear the tank in this guy's driveway out of the truck. So I'm going to clean it up. When I air the tires up, just prep the truck to be towed as best as I can. And yeah, so this will probably be a little bit of a 2-part video. Sorry we didn't get it running. I was kind of hoping to drive it home. But make it a little bit of a 2-part video. And yeah, so. Okay, so some time has definitely passed. But I finally got enough time to start on the Ranger again. Before I take it inside, you can hear the pressure washer running. I was gonna wash it, and this is just the first little before, after. The paint's not in as good a shape as I was kind of hoping, but it is definitely gonna be an improvement over this moss. I'll update you when I'm done washing it. Okay, so in short, the paint's okay. It's actually not terrible on the bed. It's missing a lot of clear coat. The topper's delaminated. It's soft in areas. Right there, for example. It's kind of soft. The cab has a lot of missing clear coat. And some of this might come off if I use soap and some scrubbies. Oh my goodness. Whole truck's falling apart apparently. But I don't have any of that right now. And I'll worry about that once the truck's running. But yeah. Didn't clean up terrible. Didn't clean up great. It's now it looks like instead of a $250 truck, maybe a $500 truck. Okay, so we got the Ranger on the lift, and honestly, it looks pretty good. There's its muffler, side pipes. It's pretty leaky. Something did some falling. Pretty leaky and weepy. It's not terrible. It's got a new starter on it. But yeah, I'll update you when that tank's out. All right, so a couple hours later, the tank's out. We had to cut this hose off because it had cracked all along the way. But this is all out. I got to order some new clips for these lines. Old plastic, snapped when it came off. So because of that, I'm not going to open this up yet until I get those parts, because I don't want to smell this old gas. Enjoy my tunes in the background. Anyways, tank's back in. It's on the jack, but everything's hooked up because the swap is done. There wasn't, sorry, if I turn this light on. So there wasn't really much to film. I didn't buy a whole sending unit with pump. It was just the pump itself, but I believe I did say that it was a high flow pump, probably the same specs that a turbo Mustang would have had. So now that's in there, and it does run. Fired right up actually. So now I just have to finish hoisting the tank in there and throwing those straps back in. Because this truck has an exhaust that now dumps on the passenger side instead of routing along the driver's side, I think. I'm probably not going to put in that heat shield back, because I view it to be unnecessary. Call it weight savings, I guess. But I did get my new fuel line clips. Obviously, they're already installed. And over here is my new filler neck. So I've got to fish this in the position, and then we can work on just putting the tank up. So this thing was actually pretty cheap. I think this was like $30. And I only needed the tube. I still have the original neck itself, but it came with one. And I don't remember if I told you, but I had to get a new cap. The original one I had lost the key to. Or maybe it's somewhere in that cab. Couldn't find it, so cut it out because the lock cylinder had gotten messed up anyways. So we've got a new just universal cap. So let's try and get this truck done today. Okay, so another concern this truck did have when I had looked at purchasing it originally 2 some years ago was low oil pressure. I think that might still be a problem. When cold, it was on the lower side of safe. Still well within safe, but it was on the lower side of it. So to fix that, I got some tractor oil. Not only is I believe, in my opinion, that Rotella is just good oil anyways. This is like cheaper than Walmart oil. SuperTech, I think it's like SuperTech 530 is like $16. This is $14. And it's thick and goopy. And it's really the only filter Walmart had that would fit this thing. I would have went with something better though. All right, tank reinstalled, oil drained, and new filter swapped. I haven't put the oil in yet, but whoa, sorry. I guess I'll drop my phone real quick. All right, tank is back in. I did decide to put this back in just because I thought it'd be hokey pokey without it. I did modify remove one of these mounts. That one right there in particular, because I should have put it in with the gas tank instead of after. But anyway, she still got one there and then the one over here. So I mean, she still held in just as tight as she would have been. The oil's drained and the new filter's installed. One of the most stuck filters I've ever had to deal with. Not the most stuck. The most stuck was on 302. I don't know. Fords have it out for me. I don't know. Ranger, 302, all the worst filters I've ever had to deal with. And also, this oil was like thin. Like, thin as water. But there was no real milky. It's almost as if it was like 530 or 520 in this engine. I think Ford calls for 1030. I was going to put 1540 in, so maybe my oil pump is actually fine. And it was just running on really thin oil for some reason. I mean, since it was making oil pressure, I'm not worried about internal damage. But yeah, hopefully some thicker, even just 1030 would probably be more than good enough. But now that we're going on the heavier side, our oil pressure concerns should be completely gone. Also forgot to mention that I did get the new, I'm really short. The new filler neck and cap installed. Can you guys see it? You guys can. So yeah, got that installed. That was probably the hardest part of the whole thing. Now, because this is a side-mounted filter, I didn't pre-fill it. But what do you guys think? Do you guys pre-fill, or do you put the oils in dry? Because I've heard arguments from both sides saying, one, well, with pre-filling, you don't have to wait as long for the pump to actually receive any oil. You start pressurizing the system, but the oil that's in the filter is unfiltered. But it's not very much oil that's getting unfiltered. I prefer pre-filling, but on the side-mounted filter, you can't really do it without making a mess. And if you fill the filter all the way up, most of it spills out, so it doesn't help on a side-mounted filter. But on like my Chevy, where the filter is straight up and down, I pre-fill it. All right, just got done filling it with oil. Let's start it, have it build oil pressure, and let's see how much oil pressure it makes. All right, guess let's go. Can do it. Here's the oil it's gonna make. Apparently are. So this is still weird. That's still not great. Maybe this pump is just wore out. Guess it doesn't matter that much. Made oil pressure. All right, it's dark out, so you guys can't see it very well. But we're outside. The tach comes and goes. So we're idling at normal RPMs. And yeah, that's first gear. Ooh, this thing has no horsepower. This way. Only it feels exactly like my friend's substantially healthier 4-cylinder Ranger. And that is slow. Hey, there's a deer. Hey, it's a baby deer. Well, this transmission does not feel as good as my buddy's does. This is first. 15. Speedometer works. We are making good oil pressure now, so that's good. Don't know what changed. I assume the gauge is, the whole dash cluster is probably a little on the wonky side. There's second. Third. Third works. It's a little clunky. That's for sure. This is a high quality motor vehicle I have. Okay, let's flip around in this guy's driveway. Why don't we, huh? That sounds fun. Hello, mister. I shall illegally trespass on your property. Yeah, it takes a lot of clutch slippage to do anything in this truck. A lot more than I'm used to, at least. Alright, for our final shot, let's go back to where there's lights. Yeah, that's floored. Man, this thing makes no power. Jeez. Now, this thing is running on some nasty gas. Along with, you know, this is the first time she's driven in, regularly at least, in 7 so years, I think. So the injection system probably isn't up to, man, it shakes so much in that gear. What was it? I think that was third, or it was fifth. Let's try. What's fifth feel like? Oh, nope. Okay, that was third. Yeah, high quality motor vehicle I have. Okay, stopped. So like I think I said, my dad was actually the owner of this truck at one time, and he said because he had owned it. So I'm 18. I've ridden in this truck when I was like 5, back when my dad owned it. And I don't know, he said even back then he had a hard time getting this thing to idle right. And it's not idling great. Well, it idles fine, but it idles weird. And it seems like it's got a miss. We can't quite see it due to the dark, but if I turn on these lights, I think it's just billowing smoke. Yeah, it totally is. This is a good vehicle I bought. This is probably going to be the end of the Ford Ranger for YouTube's eyes. Even when I bought this truck, I had no real want to keep it. I still don't want to keep it. It's just, she's a little bit of a basket case. She needs shocks, it seems. The front end is the same way. It's even worse. I mean, in all honesty, she's a truck with 200,000 miles on it. She seems to be running good. She seems down on power, but then again, I have no experience really driving a 4-cylinder Ranger besides like once. Like, I didn't even... Come on, give me my keys. There you go. And I don't even think I drove it like twice, and it wasn't even like to town or anything. It was like only got in the second gear, so I mean, maybe that's just how they are. I know they're slow trucks. This one being a 94 is rated at like 94 horsepower or something like that. Later ones are rated at like 100. So yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it to be slow or fast, but I didn't expect it to be that slow. I think she's down on power. That idle seems weird, but that could be this weird muffler. I really don't know. Her throttle response is fairly good. If anything, it might be a smidge lazy, I guess would be a good way to describe it. The parking brake doesn't work either, so parking brake. It's good enough for me. Yeah. Truck. But yeah, this is probably going to be the end for YouTube on Red Ryder, the Ranger. Just because I have no interest in it. I'm going to clean it up. It seems like mechanically it's fixed. Obviously, I'm not going to dive deeper in this engine. It's not worth it on a monetary value. And honestly, I think the engine's in okay health. It just is a 200,000 mile engine. It doesn't seem to knock. It's building good oil pressure now. And it fires right up. So I really think this engine's fine. If anything, it might have a slight miss at idle. Maybe it's got a miss everywhere. I don't know. Again, never driven one of these trucks before. No engine lights are on the dash. But then again, this is an OBD1 truck. So would it have any engine lights to begin with? I really don't know. I don't think so. But I'm hoping... I'm just going to clean this truck up real nice. Make it just nice and presentable. Fix a couple more obvious issues if they arrive while it's still in my ownership. And just sell it as a little beater with a heater. It's what it would have been to me. And the truck I daily is pretty much a beater with a heater. Just slightly better condition than this one. So I don't need a beater with a heater. But I'm sure someone out there needs a beater with a heater for $1,200 or so. And I think this is a pretty good truck for that. In the end, it's a Ford stinking Ranger. It's going to be a reliable little truck.